Yeah, it's the morning after that extraordinary night before here at the Bernabeu. Arsenal coming to Real Madrid, winning the second leg by 2-1, and taking this tie 5-1 on aggregate, really sending a big message to the rest of Europe. I'm joined by Nick Wright, features writer for Sky Sports. Now, during the week, we've been speaking about it. Remontada was the message, the buzzword from Real Madrid. Comeback, it means. The headlines are altogether different this morning, aren't they?
Yes, a completely different tone to the coverage this morning from the Spanish press, as you would expect. We have the some of the front pages here. Here's Marca, this is one of the Spanish dailies based in Madrid here. Sin jugar a nada no hay milagros, it says. Without playing, there are no miracles, that means. So an image of Ancelotti and Arteta on the front cover there. They call it a fiasco for Real Madrid last night. Now moving on, we have El Mundo here. As you can see, Carlo Ancelotti and Mbappe on the front page. That was the moment. Mbappe, of course, went off injured. They call it El Ocaso de la Era Ancelotti, which basically means the end of the Ancelotti era. Obviously, lots of talk about his future.
Yeah, and there was lots of talk in the news conference as well, but he was really, really curt and short with his responses. He didn't want to talk about his future at all at this stage. But I think that the growing feeling is that if it was to end in defeat, as it did, then he's under increasing pressure now, isn't he?
He is indeed. He does have a year left on his contract, doesn't he? But it does look like there's a lot of pressure there. He admitted that he was uncertain about what's going to happen. He said he'll always be grateful to Real Madrid, but the papers certainly cover that uncertainty around his future. And we have AS here as well, another of the popular papers here. Solo fue un sueño, they say. It was just a dream for Real Madrid. So all that talk of a remontada, but ultimately the aura came crashing down, really, didn't it? Arsenal exposed their frailties again in that performance last night, and an amazing night for them.
Yeah, it was just a dream. It's quite fitting because Arsenal fans waking up this morning, it wasn't a dream. It was a 5-1 aggregate win against the 15-time Champions League winners, the reigning Champions League winners as well. And just on Arsenal, Nick, this is going to give them so much belief moving forward, isn't it? And it will be an incredible Champions League triumph if they were to do it. Real Madrid, potentially now Paris Saint-Germain, and then one of Inter Milan or Barcelona. Can they?
Yeah, there are no easy games, are there? I think they showed last night that they can. You know, if you beat the holders, if you beat a team with all that history behind them, all that individual quality that Real Madrid have so comfortably as well, then I think they have sent a real message. And Paris Saint-Germain obviously are a fantastic team, aren't they? But I think Arsenal have the edge there, having beaten them this season. You know, they do have that psychological edge. And then you think about the potential for Inter or Barcelona, both formidable opponents as well. But I think Arsenal can have so much confidence in themselves now. It was a fantastic night for them. Another brilliant performance, and one that will go down in their history for sure.
Yep, so the dream is over for Real Madrid, but the journey continues for Arsenal. Paris Saint-Germain stand between them and a second Champions League final.
Soccer Special, the start of what is a huge Easter weekend of football as we enter the home straight of the season. So much still to be settled, and it is a bumper afternoon of games across the EFL. Goals as they go in for you from 3 o'clock. Today in the company of our panel of Easter experts. Let's hope they're all they cracked up to be, eh? It's Chris Boyd, it's Lee Hendry, it's Sue Smith, and it's Michael Dawson. Welcome to you all. Some early games on this Good Friday afternoon in the EFL. Luton Town leading at Derby County in a real six-pointer relegation scrap in the Championship. Malenik Ali, with his second since joining Luton, has put them in front. If they win, Luton will be only goal difference away from safety. So huge second half, which they're underway now on Sky Sports Football. We'll keep you posted with any goals in the second half. And a big game in the League One scrap as well. Burton Albion out of the relegation places on goal difference for the first time since September, and 0-0 at Exeter in that early game. That was a 1 o'clock kickoff, the second half about to start. At the moment, that relegates Shrewsbury Town. We'll keep you across all the permutations as we go through the afternoon, of course. And in the National League, York City looking to close within 3 points of the leaders Barnet, who play at tea time. They're 1-1 away to playoff hopefuls. Gateshead, that was a 12:30 start, so into the second half in that one. We're going to look ahead to some of the day's big games in the 3 o'clocks very shortly. Let's kick off, though, by looking back at what was a really eventful couple of days for the British sides in Europe. Chris, I'm going to spare you having to go over Rangers' exit last night. You did enough of that on Sky Sports News, unless there's anything else you want to get off your chest.
Absolutely nothing to add to that, apart from it was a Stonewall penalty kick.
Okay.
And it's nice to see I've got over it.
Instead, let me ask you to focus on Manchester United. I know you were here in the studio and it was all kicking off. It was an absolutely bonkers game, wasn't it? From 2-0 up and cruising United to 4-2 down and heading out, and the fans heading for the exits against 10 men in extra time, just scoring 3 goals in 6 minutes to winning it and reaching the semi-final. Limbs, tears, bedlam, the lot. In the semi-final, limbs, tears, bedlam, the lot at full time. I mean, you know, this chat could have been going very differently if United had gone out last night. As it is, they're through to a European semi-final. Where's that fight, that passion, that character been all season?
Jules, I think it could be a sliding doors moment for the manager. You know, you look at it now, they've got an opportunity to go and deliver a trophy that would allow them to participate in European football next year, because they're not doing it any other way. And that could include Champions League football, which would change the dynamic for Manchester United in terms of the recruitment policy over the summer. So it was a huge result. You know, you go back to, you know, not comparing, but you go back to Manchester United with Sir Alex Ferguson. Was that moment where, you know, it just changed, and that was him. He went on a run after that. Manchester United are a long, long way away from that, but that last night could just be the moment that allows them to, you know, to continue. You know, in terms of, you know, the recruitment is going to be key, and also if they are to, you know, see off Atletico Club and you know, win the trophy, obviously Spurs and Bodo Glimt in the other semi-final. In terms of that recruitment and being able to attract the players that, you know, Manchester United should be able to attract, it's going to help them. But you've got to say, what a game of football! Yeah. From cruising, and that, you know, the 120 minutes probably summed up Manchester United season. You see the very good, the NC, you know, really, really bad, and then they finished the game strongly again. And you know, fair play to them, they kept going, and they've managed to find a way to get through.
And Amram, in his interview afterwards, you know, he referenced 1999. Now, clearly this wasn't a Champions League final, but as Chris hinted at there, Lee, in terms of a moment for him personally, and maybe for this Manchester United team, could that be transformative last night's result?
Yes, it could be. I mean, they haven't seen times like that for a good while. I mean, Boydie mentioned about the Sir Alex days, and you know, it seems a million miles off, doesn't it? That sort of replicated some of the past times that we've seen at Old Trafford, and some of the great times and some of the great scenes. And you know, for such a poor season they've had this season, since Amrin's come in, you know, this is the glimpse of light, isn't it, that might just see them, you know, bring some silverware there. I'm with Boydie. I think it's huge for them. They have to put every single thing into getting to that final, winning it, to attract players for next season, which might see a different outcome from where they can actually go and what they can actually produce next season, because, you know, all eyes are going to be on them again next season. Champions League could be absolutely massive for them, and that's why, you know, it tees up a really good semi-final for both sides. You know, Spurs as well. I mean, it'd be great to see the both of them in the final, wouldn't it? Considering both of them have had such a real low-par season. But I'm with Boydie. I mean, what a game that was. I mean, it was unbelievable, and it showed character, it showed fight, and that's what you want to see, and that's what the fans want to see at Manchester United.
Some of them, the ones that stayed.
Yeah, some of them, the ones that were still there, obviously. But I mean, you know, it tees up a great semi-final, and that final could be. Wow. I mean, it'd be brilliant. I'd love to see that. I really would. 2 English clubs fighting it out for a final.
We're sorted. We've got tickets. Dawson said we're sorted.
Oh, was he sorted? Dawson sorted out.
We're all going, aren't we?
Yeah. He's got a corporate.
Thanks, Dawson.
Cheers, Dawson. Cheers.
Hey, they've got to get there first. We'll talk about Spurs in just a moment. Just finishing on Manchester United, though. So, you know, he said afterwards, all my eggs are in the European basket. Now 6 Premier League games to go. He said, look, fans need to understand I might be risking the kids now in the Premier League. So, in theory, Manchester United are only 3 points above 17th place. Could finish 4th bottom in the Premier League. If they win the Europa League, is that OK? Is that fine for Manchester United?
I don't think it's okay for Manchester United. I think a team that's globally as big as what they are, you don't expect them to finish in that position in the league. But I think winning the Europa League, getting then into the Champions League, I think that's certainly important for recruitment. And you could see that was the case, you know, when they played against Newcastle. Newcastle were by far the better side in terms of the athleticism, the legs, the energy. Manchester United just couldn't cope with that. And you just wondered, how are they going to do in this Europa League? Because obviously I thought they were probably the better side in the first leg, but it was 2 mistakes, which meant they were going in on par. But the first half of that game was probably the best I've seen Manchester United play in terms of the way that they set out their game plan. They looked very organised on and off the ball. They targeted the full-back areas, and they just really controlled play. And then, like Boydie then said, then things happened. But they had to show that fight and that character, and you just think that is something that you're going to hang on to. I think Amrin must have known when he came in to Manchester United, obviously changing styles. He's not got the players that he wants to play his style. It was always going to be difficult. I think he wanted to come in and have a pre-season and bring in players that he wanted to bring in. But this is just so key. If they can go and win the Europa League, you're not going to say it's a positive season for Manchester United, but it's certainly something for them to build on.
It could in a way, because their objective probably at the start of the season was to qualify for the Champions League for the following season.
Well,
so if they end up, it's been a poor domestic, there's no getting away from it. But if they have to win it, they're still going to achieve their goal. So it could end up being a moment, but you look at Manchester United and they're still way, way off where they need to be.
I want to have a word about Tottenham Hotspur, so let's come to you, Michael. Not quite as dramatic for them, but an equally important win. The whole season was on the line. If you believe reports, Postecoglou's future in his job were on the line. They're through to the semi-final. All rosy in the Spurs garden now, is it?
I think I echo everything that guys have said, and it relates back to Spurs as well. 2 teams that have had terrible seasons in the Premier League, that we never expected them to both be in 14th and 15th in the Premier League. I couldn't ever imagined at the start of the season. But I think on the flip side, you look now what Ange's become under. He's become under an awful lot of scrutiny. And I think last night we'll have answered an awful lot of questions. This was his last chance, along with Manchester United and Amorim as well, because the league positions have been bad. But a chance to get in the Champions League. Boy, he just said it with Manchester United. That would have been their focus at the start of the season. Could Spurs finish in a Champions League spot? And if they go on and win the Europa League, they've got to what they wanted at the end. I mean, this hasn't been acceptable. The performances, the things they've had to deal with injuries, all right, we can put that to a side. But some of the performances in recent weeks have been well below par. And I put that down to having an eye on Europe. All the eggs have been in this basket, and last night it came good for Ange, and I thought the way they played, a different way of winning the football match, very defensive. Mickey van der Ven back, who I'm a huge fan of, has made a difference, but they did a job on Frankfurt, and not many teams can say that, because their home form has been magnificent.
But is it going to be exactly the same conversation and the exact same pressure heaped on Postecoglou when we come to the semi-final? Is it going to be he's got to win the semi-final or he's going to be out of a job?
I think it's coming down to that. I speak to a lot of Tottenham fans and the frustration. I mean, I see the performance at the weekend against Wolves, the mistakes. But I've said these players have to take responsibility as well. The players have not showed anywhere near the levels that they're capable of. But as a manager, what he achieved last year, and he said achieved, there were 2 points off Aston Villa in finishing. What he achieved last year, and he said achieved, there were 2 points off Aston Villa in finishing in the Champions League. So that was a disappointment. His aim this year will have been to try and get in the Champions League.
Because if Spurs have to go and win this, there's no doubt. I mean, you'll know better than me, but there's a whole lot of negativity, around the whole football club right now. So if they win it, are you then giving Ange more money to go and spend in the summer to start again, or is his job still under threat?
I think you have to, Boydie. I think if he brings a European trophy to Tottenham, and since 2008 have won no trophy. I mean, 4 teams left in it, very competitive. So it's going to be hard for him. Even now in the semis, when you get to the final.
Do you still think you can turn it around? The whole negativity that's surrounding the club right now. You listen to fans and talk like when
if he wins the Europa League,
shows,
100%. In my opinion. Yeah. In my opinion, if he wins that, he has to be the manager.
Well, if he doesn't win that, Dawes, that's what you've just said, that the season before that they were close to 2 points behind Villa.
Yeah.
Do you obviously they've had them injuries that you've just touched on. Do they give him that time again, or do you think he's completely gone from that?
I think people are starting to get to a point where his time's coming to an end. I really believe that, and all season I've been behind Ange, but in recent times he's come under scrutiny. But the players, I still say, have to take more responsibility of what they're showing. But last night, Ange Postecoglou, and you see his celebration after. I love seeing that, because he's not a man with loads of passion and desire on the touchline. He stands there, he's composed, he sent the message out for the players to do. But I tell you what, after you looked at his backroom staff, bookkeeping coach, Wells, Ryan Mason, they were all in. They realised this could have been their last chance. I really believe that, Jules, that this was certainly it. But credit to them, they played well and got what they deserved, in my opinion.
Thank you very much, guys. Doogie's with me now to delve a bit deeper into that incredible result for Arsenal yesterday. The remontada never happened, did it? Never came. I mean, what's the Spanish for damp squib? Any idea? From a Real's point of view, that's what it was, really, wasn't it? But how much last night was down to Arsenal being imperious, and how much was it down to Real being way off it?
I think I'd like to start with Arsenal, to be totally honest, because these are the players that have got them to their first semi-final since 2009 without Gabriel, who Declan Rice called their best player this season, without a recognised striker, and they deservedly won both legs as well. Of course, possession much lower in the Bernabeu, as you'd expect, but look at the big chances. 2 for Arsenal, 0 for Real Madrid, just 3 of their 18 shots on target, and it felt like Real Madrid very much rushing it throughout that game, not really carving out too many opportunities, but I think a lot of that comes down to the way that Jurrien Timber and Miles Lewis-Skelly kept Rodrigo and Vinicius Junior so quiet, Mbappe getting very frustrated, dropping ever deeper, and Arsenal, absolutely magnificent display for them, home and away. I think they have looked like the best side in terms of their performance in the quarterfinals left in the competition, and they can now go into that PSG tie full of confidence.
Well, let's have a look at some of the individual performances then, shall we? Obviously, everyone will remember those 2 sublime Declan Rice free kicks, but they were almost like a bonus to his game, aren't they? Did we see last night what he was signed for such big money for?
Yeah, absolutely. He's signed for huge money, as you say, the 8th most expensive player in history. But I think of those £100 million signings plus, there's maybe only Kylian Mbappe for PSG that justified their move even more. And look at this ranking for last night. First for tackles won, passes completed, first as well. Final third passes completed as well, crucial, first in that as well. Absolutely enormous display from Declan Rice, and it's easy to forget that last night he was playing against Jude Bellingham, he was playing against Fede Valverde, commonly considered some of the best midfielders in the entire world. In the first leg, he played against Luka Modric, made him look every one of his 39 years old. 2 amazing free kicks, but I actually thought last night was even better in terms of the way he drove Arsenal forward, heavily involved in that opening goal from Saka as well, laying the ball off to Odegaard, who then passes to Mikel Merino, who needs a shout-out as well. Brilliant display from Mikel Merino. But Declan Rice was the star, back-to-back manager of the match displays in the Champions League quarter-final. What dreams are made of.
Absolutely.